With that note, it's 6 o'clock. I'd like to begin the Cedar Creek Township Board meeting. Welcome all. Dave, if you could call to order here.
Okay, come to order at 6 o'clock.
All right. And, yeah, well, I guess when I was thinking roll call, so we
All
need to
right.
do the pledge first, so.
Okay.
I'm out of sync here.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Trustee Wright,
Here.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Here.
Supervisor Eriks,
Here.
Clerk Stamey, here. Trustee Beeman,
Present.
all present and count.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
an approval for, or I'll make a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I have one addition, if you don't mind. We need to add the
Special
bids
meeting.
for the parking. Because we had to void the parking lot, the removal of the trees,
We had to void it?
we did.
Why?
There was,
Who's we?
well,
The board
the-
approved it in the first place.
but there was a problem with it. There was a huge,
So we come back to the board then for resolving.
well, there was a huge problem with the way it went down.
We'll discuss it later.
Yeah, so we need to redo that bid, and, we need to seek 3 bids for the trees, the removal of the trees, and I have talked with Brian Fowler, so he is aware of that. For the large parking lot, and I believe there's 1 tree that needs removal, and, is that correct, Ron? 1 tree that needs removal in the smaller parking lot, the driveway?
Maybe not.
Okay. Well, at least then for the large, and I have the driveway permit that shows all the dimensions of that area. So we will send out a bid with the exact dimensions of everything that needs doing. So that needs to be added.
Where do you want that?
That's under old business,
You want it below pickleball?
please.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add the special meeting minutes to approving the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't add them. I'm sorry. They are in the packet, but they're not on the board agenda. Thank you, Dave. Okay, so we have those additions. Could I have a second to that?
I second it.
Okay, all right. Any discussion? All right,
There was just one minor thing that I just
Okay.
think maybe it should reflect it in the minute under treasurer's report. The budget amendment is listed, but I think that it might be a good idea just to add that amendment was to reflect the use of ARPA funds, just so that's in our minutes that it was ARPA.
we would do that
funds
when
we
we're
were using.
actually reviewing the minutes, so.
We are reviewing minutes. Right?
We're approving the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm jumping ahead. Sorry.
Hey, we're supposed to hurry this thing along here.
She was trying.
I was trying, yeah.
She was
I'm
jumping.
Okay,
sorry.
so we
Now we're backing up.
we have now just approved the agenda. There's no additional discussion on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, agenda is approved with those additions, all right. All right. All right, now if we could go to, Heather, which minutes were you looking at?
It was just the regular board meeting minutes under
Okay.
treasurer's report.
All right. And would you say it again?
I just added to reflect the use of ARPA funds.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any additions or corrections? All right.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the minutes have been approved then, thank you. Heather, your treasurer's report.
Our August 1st, 2023 beginning general fund balance was $1,260,534.78. Revenues totaled $93,434.30. Expenditures totaled $85,656.58, leaving an ending balance of $1,268,312.50.
Thank you, Heather. Does anyone have any questions for
I
Heather?
do have a question on the lawnmower. I see Craig's Hardware down here for $525.50. What was that?
You're looking at the consumer's energy line was $525.50.
Oh.
236.
The lawnmower was
Oh,
$236.03.
$236. What'd we do, buy blades or something?
$200?
$236.
I don't remember. Dave's got all the receipts.
Okay. I'm just asking.
What was
Lawnmower
the date on
maintenance.
Man, I thought I had.
It was paid
that?
Everything else,
August
I was good.
7th.
You bought mulch, fertilizer,
Some lawnmower maintenance.
It says lawnmower.
I remember you
maintenance.
did get some
Yeah.
fertilizer not too long ago.
they didn't do any maintenance other than sharpen blades. But it's not
It could
$200.
be, if we look in BSNA, there may be a longer description. It might be lawnmower, comma, mulch, you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm good.
It may be that that's just the
I was
beginning
wrong.
of
I
what.
thought it was $525.
Oh, no, that's
My
the,
mistake.
that's the electricity.
We can get that information for you, Bob, though.
No, I don't need it.
Okay,
$236. You can easily spend that on fertilizer, especially for that big area. You probably,
Speaking of which, Ron is going to do, weed killer, so there'll be another expense. It's time to do weed killer out there, so.
okay. Okey dokey.
That's not too big of an expense, huh?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
All right. Disbursements, Dave.
Nothing out of the ordinary. We paid a couple of fire service bills this month. But other than that, just the normal stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Correspondence, Dave.
Hold on, I'll make a
Oh.
motion that we pay all the regular.
Oh, I
bills.
forgot that. We're just jumping
I was
along.
just-
I forgot.
just cutting
How'd you get out here early yet?
A sport.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Just pay those bills, Dave.
Nice.
Correspondence.
Only significant correspondence, we finally got our tower contract from across the street back all signed, so that's done now.
Okay,
Nice.
thank you.
I have correspondence. I received an email from the Water Resources Manager. There are going to be 3 new drains in Cedar Creek Township. They're all in the Stonegate subdivision area. So just an FYI on that. She sent an email. She said their office is assessing 95 drains, most of which are associated with commercial properties or subdivisions. In the process of systematically reviewing office files, we learned that historic 433s, which are agreements with developers, never had a final public hearing conducted to legitimize their office's ability to address drainage maintenance issues should they arise. So these assessments are to cover the drain commissioner's office costs, to send letters to property owners, place the notice of public hearing in the newspaper, conduct a legal review of the files, and a physical inspection of the infrastructure.
Alright.
So there are 3 of them, and one of them is a 2-year, the other 2 are 1 year. But just let everybody know.
I apologize. I'm waiting for a call from Jeff.
Oh, okay.
So thank you. Heather did go through all those drains too, which was not an easy task when she was looking, because the drains are not divided by count or by township. They're literally
Listed
just
by name.
by name. So she had
I
to go.
looked through all of them.
Yeah, she had to go through drain by drain by drain. So it was not an easy task while she was looking for them. So thank you for doing that. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any correspondence?
I don't.
Okay, I do not either. So public comments, agenda items only. I think rather than make Lisa wait through our whole meeting, if you don't mind, this would be a great opportunity for Lisa if you would like to speak. This is Lisa Tyler from Senior Resources.
Well, thank you. I might take 2.5 minutes and go
Okay.
over 2 minutes, because I can talk fast, but 2 minutes. So I just wanted to come, Linda invited me a couple months ago to come and talk, just to make sure that people are aware of services that are available to older adults. So Senior Resources is the area agency on aging. We serve Muskegon, Oceana, and Ottawa County. And in short, our goal is to help people age in their own homes for as long as possible. And we do that by connecting people to supports and services that help them do that. So I always find that people really don't know about our services much of the time until they're in crisis. So I'm trying to let people know about what there is before they get in crisis. Because when somebody's fallen and broken something, or they've come home and visited mom or dad or grandpa and grandma, and that's our season coming up, when people come home for the holidays, and that's when we get a lot of calls. We're trying to let people know that we're there, we're available. We have caregiver resources. We have a fabulous medical care program that comes to the home for people who are challenged to get out and go to the doctor. There used to be house calls way back when I was very young, and we bring back the house calls. So for people who have chronic conditions that need to be managed, have a hard time getting out to the doctor, we bring the medical team to them. Fabulous program. We've got all kinds of other programs that are based on medical need and financial need, but basically anything we can do for our most medically frail and lower income, we can do for anybody who has financial means for it, because again, we're connecting. And those are for our programs, and then we're connecting to dozens and dozens of other programs in the community to help them. So it could be programs that are coming in and maybe helping people with bathing, or transferring if they have a hard time maybe moving from bed to get up, or toileting, or those kind of things. Sometimes it's just as simple as the buttons, we call them a personal emergency response system, but the I fall and I can't get up button, or what I call them very long. And it can be all kinds of things in between, some medical transportation. And a lot of times it just takes a little bit of help. It could literally be 2 or 4 hours a week of help that will help somebody else stay in their own home. Because I always give myself as the example, we're far flung many times. My mom lives in Ionia, I'm here, my sister's in Detroit, my brother's in Northern California. None of us live in the same town as her. Fortunately, at 84, she's doing really well, but at some point that's not going to happen, and she wants to stay at home as long as possible, and that's what we want. So it's great to know that there's an area agency on aging that serves that county as well, because there's a AAA that serves every community in the country. We've been around for 50 years, and it's just really important that people know the things that we do. One of the other things besides those things, that we have a medical loan closet, and we have a Medicare assistance program that helps people get enrolled in Medicare when they're getting close to 65, or open enrollment's coming up in just about a month. And that's the one time a year you can change your Medicare plans. We help people connect with that, and we aren't selling them things. But other than that, and the caregiver things, we are also involved in the senior millage. We administer the grants portion of the senior millage, and not the part that you all get as a township to be able to do on your own. And my friend Andy over there and I do a series of videos we've done for a couple of years to let people know about the really great programs that happen as a result of that. So that's because we administer funding that comes to us from federal and state government. We've got 50 years almost of experience doing that. So doing that for the millage is a logical thing for us. And on a side note for that, I'll probably try to come out and talk to you again sometime in the next 10 months because that millage will be up for renewal. Hopefully it just got approved finally, officially by the county commission this afternoon. But we have a millage a renewal of that coming on the ballot next August. It was approved last year by Human Services Committee, or last week, but we think that the full commission was probably approving it at 4 today. So there's a lot of really great things that are going on, and I just think it's important to let people know about that. I've got some materials that I'm happy to leave here so that you can have them up. I think I've brought you some before, but posters, and everything starts with calling our options counselors, and they help connect whether it's just a question about where can I go, what's an agency I can use, or you need an actual program that will help people. We're there for you. Any questions?
Lisa, I direct people to the options counselor a lot
Good.
whenever I get calls here. But one of the things I think I would like you to talk a little bit more about is maybe letting people know that you do have services here in Cedar Creek.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we are farther out
Yes.
and people often think you can't get those kinds
That's a
of
great,
services.
I appreciate that, Linda. So we're physically located in Tanglewood Park, the old D&W on Seminole in Norton Shores. But what we do is we're in people's homes. So our staff are coming to people's homes. I could, I'm sure, find a report that tells you how many people. We can't go for HIPAA reasons, can't go put a sign that says senior resources at work here. But I can guarantee you, we are serving people in your township. And I 100% know that because also the senior villages, we do track all of that, and we get reports on all of our providers have to let us know that. But we're absolutely doing that. So people sometimes think just because we're physically located there, but really about half of our staff doesn't even work in our office. They work from home offices, and they're going again to participant homes. They're going and they're doing initial assessments. They're connecting with them once they've got services in there. We're making sure that the services that we've got helping them are available. You know, if somebody can't get in to borrow some durable medical equipment from our medical loan closet, for example, they put something out to the staff, hey, can anybody run some incontinence supplies out to this place? Can they bring a wheelchair out there? And we've always got somebody going out. We put a lot of miles on our cars going to take care of adults. But it's something we're all very passionate about, and a lot of times people don't know what we're doing because, again, we're not putting signs there that say that. We're in people's lives sometimes just for a little bit, but we've got people we've served for decades because while we're named senior resources, and that's mostly older adults, there are any adults who have disabilities, who have certified disabilities that we also serve. And so, for example, for many, many years, we served a young man who passed away several years ago, but he passed in his 30s, but we've been serving him over a decade. He was, had lung issues and all kinds of, it was on a lot of equipment, and we had served him because he had certified disabilities. So it's a misnomer kind of to say senior resources and more. Even though the vast majority of our people are there. And then, of course, our caregiver resources are available for anybody who's caring for somebody who's older. And so a lot of times when somebody very proudly told me at Senior Community Day last month, I don't need your services, I'm doing great on my own. And I said, that's wonderful, I hope you never do. But we all know that somebody could trip and break a hip or something like that, and then all of a sudden your life is upended. And while that can be negative for anybody, as we're older, that's a little harder for us to recover from than, when I was in my 20s, now at 60, a broken hip would be a little more challenging. It'll be far more challenging if it were to happen in 20 years. So we just never know when we might need some things like that, but almost everybody knows somebody who's doing some level of caregiving. Even if somebody's not, a loved one isn't living with you, if you're helping do some groceries, you're helping set up somebody's meds, you're just going and checking on them once in a while, like my husband and I did with his parents, that's caregiving. And with that can come burnout, because if you're still working on your own or you're raising your own family, you've got other challenges on that, and you need to know that there are resources available. So whether it's the caregiver support groups that we have, or just calling and talking to somebody, or getting the monthly newsletter that comes out that's full of information, there's a lot of ways to connect.
And if somebody were to need services, would that be arranged through their doctor? If they, like, suddenly you were to become incapacitated, would that just be options counselor?
It can be,
or would they?
anybody can call the options counselor, so somebody can refer themselves, a doctor or any kind of professional, you could know somebody, we can't insist on a service going in, it's up to that person, they have to be willing, but we have people who call and refer for other people, and then we'll give them a call and just say, hey, somebody called and thought that maybe this would be helpful, so people can self-refer. Professionals can, friends, family can, and then we'll do the best we can. The only way we could go in is if there was a guardianship and somebody else gets a say-so on that. But just like most programs, they have to be willing to do that. We do also have a very robust website where there's a referral form, because our options counselors are there Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. But the website has a referral form for both any of our programs and for that primary care at home program. And you can just go put in as much information as you're able to, and then it goes directly to the options counselors, who will call the person who's making the referral. It's a really great way, because we're trying to realize that lots and lots of people are working from 8 to 4, and so picking up the phone and calling might not be the easiest thing for them. Or sometimes it's honestly, it's 10 o'clock at night before you get a minute to stop and think, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed and I need some help, and it will get to the right person that way.
Anyone else in the audience have anything that they'd
Linda
like
knows
to-
me well enough to ask the questions. We go back all day.
Yes,
Only
Beth.
that we're using your service,
Oh, wonderful.
my husband.
Oh, well, wonderful. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful.
What,
I
which
can't
service
say-
do you use?
We use Jennifer Wheeler comes in and sees.
Okay, that's the
Yes.
primary care at home
Yes,
program, so
primary care at home.
I think that's a fabulous, my mother-in-law uses that as
It's
well.
wonderful. I cannot say enough about it. I tell people all the
Oh,
time.
good. Well, so that's a program that so Jennifer is one of 2 nurse practitioners we have. It's all overseen by a medical director, but we have 2 nurse practitioners and a new doctor, and then a nurse, medical assistant. There's in-home counseling available for it. Pretty much anything you would find at a primary care office, this is your primary care office. It just comes to you. Now, it can't come to you if you're perfectly capable of getting out, because it's targeted right now toward people who are homebound or home limited, but that's a lot of different things, and chronic conditions, and it could be dementia, it could be Parkinson's, it could be diabetes, it could be blood pressure, cholesterol. You have to have some chronic conditions that need management. But what I love about it, and hopefully you do, is the time that they take. We know that lots and lots of doctors, you go and you're lucky to get 10 minutes with them. These are usually around monthly visits, depending on the needs. They can be 45 minutes or so if they need to be. A whole team approach. There's community health workers then that are calling and monitoring the needs. When it was my father-in-law, they were calling every week to get his blood pressure readings, insulin and all those kind of things. And it's just a really great wraparound way to try to keep people out of the ER and out of hospitalizations. And we've had it for 3 years now, and the numbers of those people and how frequent those visits were has plummeted, because they're taking care of their health, and they're doing it in the home where that health starts. So we saw that need, decided that we were lucky we got a grant from the Health Endowment Fund to help get it started, and it has been everything that we had hoped it was. So I appreciate hearing that, and I'll share that with the team.
Jennifer rarely spends less than 45 minutes with my husband. Much better care.
Good.
These are the kinds of things that we want the people of the community to know. So, because it's important that if they have an issue, that they know these services are available.
Right, and I've been saying this phrase the last couple of days to people. It's not that we're the be-all, end-all of everything, but we're the starting point. As the area agency on aging, that's what we're mandated to do. There's a lot of things we have to do. We have to do advocacy. We have to provide some caregiver services, legal services, things like that with the funding that flows through us. But we're there to be that focal point, so you don't have to figure out who to call. You can call us and we'll help you get there. Whether it's our program or connecting with somebody else, we're usually going to know it.
So, anyone else? Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll just leave some materials back here. If anybody has any questions, you can get them
And
anytime.
Joan Schmidt, I can.
Joan
Sch-
Schmidt-Kinnick.
Schmidt-Kinnick
Oh, yes.
Is, also, she left some information for us, but she is going, has offered to come out and talk to us about Medicare services, I believe
She's
that's
our
what.
new Medicare, Michigan Medicare Assistance Program.
So, I thought that we would do that with one of our coffee, cookies, and conversation, some, topics, so.
Just on a side note on that, one of the things I never knew until I started there 8 years ago when I went to my first Medicare 101, I'm not 65 yet, but I'm getting there. If you have a window of time to sign up for Medicare, and if you don't do it in that window, and I won't be signing up for it right away because I'm gonna work for a couple of years later, but I have to let them know that, otherwise
Yeah.
I will have a lifetime penalty, extra money I will have to pay for all the rest of my days. So there's a lot of things out there that people just don't know about.
Yeah.
And we don't think about aging because, we don't think about senior things because we don't like to think about aging, because what comes after that? Eventually death. And it's just as a society, it's my little preaching thing, that we don't like to think about those things. But we like to think we're not going to get old, and I say every day's a gift, and aren't we lucky if we get to
Yeah,
become old?
absolutely. So,
So, thank you for my
so,
preaching. I
Thank you.
and I will see you on the 25th.
confirmed it is on my calendar.
Thank you, Lisa, so much. All right, Dave, the next one is on you, purchasing policy.
In the past, I've seen a couple instances where we've done a poor job of putting together specifications and requirements for certain projects that we're doing. As a result, we get bids which don't match what we want to do, or they're not comparing apples to apples. So I tried to pull together a purchasing policy to standardize this procedure. I looked at several different policies from other townships and tried to put together something that would apply to us. I gave it to all the board members a couple weeks ago to look at and got feedback on it. So, any questions?
I have none. It looks like it's put together pretty well. Do you know what township this came from?
Well, this is a combination of several
Oh.
different ones, yeah. Some of them were 30 pages, which I didn't think we needed. So,
Thank you for not choosing a 30-page
Yeah,
policy.
yeah, that seems
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
over the top,
I
yeah.
think Heather must have a question. You looked
Yeah,
at
I
me
do,
funny.
so we have a bidding, was this bidding policy, was this already in our policy
It was
book?
in our policy book.
well, we found it after the fact.
It's
and
not
some
dated or signed?
Okay.
obscure.
Yeah,
And if you
I
look at it,
I
it was
wondered
never-
that.
It's got a weird date on it, it was never signed.
That happened in
So,
2/19.
the
We
date's
noticed
in-
it then.
The date's incorrect.
You don't
and the
remember that?
time
Yeah, the
it's
date was
renewal-
incorrect
The
on
renewal
it.
date's incorrect also.
But I think
It
most of
says
the,
5 years and it's
Yeah.
postmarked for 4.
Yeah,
I
But
would
I
like
think
to
most-
have a special meeting to discuss this in depth, because I think this is something that would really benefit us.
Well, I was wondering if these can be kind
Sure.
of merged.
I
well, I
mean,
think
Because a
most of
lot
the
of it
concepts
is-
in here are already in here.
Yeah,
Most of the ideas are in there.
right,
So,
yep.
I'd really like to sit down and hash it out and go through it and
So
take
you
our
wanna
time.
table it?
Take our, well, I don't know if we can call a special meeting now, but I mean, a special meeting would be in,
A work session to.
yeah, a work
Okay.
session to, really cross all the Ts and dot all the Is on this, something very important. The beginning, when the draft looked really good, there's only a few questions I had, and this one looks nice. So I don't think it'd take that long to really.
it won't take
finite it.
long, there are some in here that are not, in this one that are not under, like the grant piece
Yeah,
is not, it needs to be
I've seen that.
in this one.
well, that's why I put in there, a list of contacted, will be provided when you're trying to contact 3 or 4 suppliers and you get no response out of some, we'll list the ones that we did. Like it
That
says
you
in here,
attempted, you
Mhm.
document
count the
that you
ones you
Yeah.
send them
attempted
to, not the responses necessarily. So,
And that
That addresses it.
absolutely is true, because we all know in today's world,
Yeah.
it's much different.
Mhm.
We've had a great deal of trouble getting, people to respond to bids,
Absolutely.
so,
I think one session, we should be able to hammer this right out.
Okay.
That's my
okay,
personal opinion.
okay.
sounds
All right.
good.
All right, we'll schedule a work session for that. All right, next on the agenda is the Prine and Newhoff Trail proposal.
Now, we had added square feet, or we added more area to that, didn't we, for, cause we got a bid for 3,000 square feet, and it appears that, it grew a little bit.
I'm gonna have to show you.
So we had this as a working document, now we're just proposing this new one.
The new one.
Yeah, cause it goes around the
Yeah.
seniors' equipment out there, and
Yeah, I guess that was one of my
And I
questions,
lost
what's the
my
purpose of those rings around the equipment out there with the,
Those
Asphalt
rings are
paving.
trees.
no, this circle here of asphalt as opposed to this here. Why are we adding this
Look
loop
at
of
yours.
asphalt out there?
I'm not following what you're saying.
We have asphalt going around here,
It's,
it's that
It's
square
access to
add-on
those-
around the
Oh.
that's what?
it's
playground
access.
equipment.
Well, you have access off the trail here, and that's adding more expense, and it doesn't really serve any purpose, I don't think.
ADA
Now,
actually.
is there irrigation out in that area?
ADA access?
Yes,
So,
I don't
so
think there
they,
is yet.
they evaluated that
around
and
the
said we need to have,
'Cause
That
they
accessible
We didn't have it
put
here?
in there.
this was always, in the beginning, they kept doing what is, always a conceptual draft.
Well, we could approve this, and this is what we're working
It was
toward as far as
conce-
implementing.
It was always conceptual, Dave.
Well, how do we go off the bids if we have a concept? That was part of the problem, we had nothing defining what was doing in this parking lot.
Well, in the parking lot, here's what this is what the road commission approved.
Well, why didn't we have this before we went out for bids? I mean, isn't that part of what the committee is supposed to do, is vet all these things before it comes with a plan?
This drawing was conceptual, and this is finally this is finally what Prine and Newhoff.
So, I don't care what Brian Newhoff does, I care
I
what
know
your
you don't
committee
care.
does and what we do.
I know you don't care, and you've made that abundantly
Well,
clear
they
that you
don't-
don't care.
They don't define what we do with our park.
Well,
Yeah,
those
yes,
our Parks and
actually,
Recs committee even meet anymore? I heard they haven't met in over a year.
No, that's not true. We
Okay,
met-
I heard that from Bill Jeffries.
Bill Jeffries was here.
He was on well, I don't know, he said that,
we're gonna put
Last
the adult.
spring.
Yeah.
how many have you had in the last year?
That's what
I
I
mean,
know, that's what we approved.
Okay.
wasn't that
All right,
one that we
order,
got our
order.
recommendations to the board to
I'm
go
calling
by?
order right now.
Right?
The Parks and Rec Committee met, I'd have to look at my book, but it wasn't all that long ago. We met,
Springtime?
yeah,
I'm guessing, I'm not sure. I would have
when
to
we were
look
talking
through.
about the pavilion.
Now, do
see
they
the
meet
minutes?
every month though?
No,
See, they
no,
used to meet
no.
every month, I remember in the beginning when you guys had it, and then we used to, at the board, we'd take recommendations from you, and then we'd vote on stuff that we did out there, and now that seems like it went away. I don't know.
We did stop meeting. We did stop meeting, but that was because we had most of the plan in place.
I didn't know the plan was in place, and I should have. Board member.
Well, you looked at it. You looked at the
Well, I looked
plan.
at several different
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, it was a
And
The
now
last,
this
the
one's
last
different.
one we looked at was on June,
Right.
in June.
This was strictly a conceptual drawing, we're trying to get bids with no dimensions or anything on here, it's just conceptual. We should have never gone up for bids in the first place, at this point.
Until we had everything,
Right,
because now we're gonna have to get with our bidders for the walking trail, because,
Well-
Okay, halt. The walking trail, we never went to go out to go get a bid on the walking trail.
Not yet.
Not yet.
we
No.
did.
we had API
No, we
here.
never,
We
you
did.
brought in API, let's.
Well, I asked you
yeah.
in
He
your
was
office
asked
if
to.
you wanted
No,
me.
no,
Oh,
I
my
didn't,
bad.
no.
I'm sorry.
No, you brought in API, you brought them in. We are just, and which is fine, it was nice to meet them and to talk with them. But we have to bring, we now have the concept, or the final drawing. This is my understanding, this is the final drawing from Prine and Newhoff. we brought in Prine and Newhoff, we voted on Prine and Newhoff as a board. This is before you ever came on,
Right,
Dave,
but they're an architectural and engineering firm. Why
to
should we let them
design the
dictate
park. And
with our input, hopefully?
apparently, you're not fond of the whole concept of this.
No, I don't like us waiting for drawings from them to tell us where to put our equipment. And we keep changing it. I don't like it. But if this is the final one, okay, if we can get some dimensions and specifications.
'Cause there's-
That's
I
what
mean,
this is right
We went
now.
out and we paid someone to clear that field out there for this exercise equipment, and all of a sudden they're putting it out in the middle of the field out there.
Let me just say, you're just bringing
What did we
in,
pay for that? Brian cleared that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
yeah. But
And then
they
they-
put
900 or
it down
something?
farther. They did put it down farther,
I thought we just,
according to Prine and
I
Newhoff, so
thought
they
we
could
just-
put the pickleball court in.
excuse me, we discussed putting the adult stuff a few times ago right here in this area, since it was already cleared out,
Right,
and we weren't sure if we were gonna go with additional playground equipment. So now it's been moved over here?
it's over there because of the, Prine and Newhoff felt that the pickleball court would be better placed. And the additional playground equipment, should we purchase it, needed to be right there.
Well, I would argue with them that if I was an adult and I had my children playing on the equipment, I would want my exercise equipment closer, so, I mean, I can understand the evaluation of that, but I agree that on these, maybe we need to kick up the Park and Recreation Committee to come back in and start giving us, their recommendations. Because, if I come in and then it's moved, as a board member, I go, why did that move? What happened, right?
Okay,
If they recommended it and it moved, then, and the board said, okay, I'm 100% on with it, but, and I asked today, how long is this trail? That's our bidders are gonna quote that, they'll have to get us some measurement, cause they're gonna go by square footage and such.
that's what Prine and Newhoff is coming up with the dimensions for that.
I think what's
But we have to
happening,
approve this
I-
in order to do that.
I think what's happened is these wheels are turning really fast, and we don't do this professionally every day, on the day, and there's some things slipping through the cracks, so I would like to just gear down a little bit and ensure that what we discuss and talk about and the board approves is what happens with their recommendations. So you're saying this is, which I studied today, the final drawing of what we can start building to, but I'm not happy that this moved, because at last, I thought the understanding was gonna go here. So.
And we paid
we
money
moved
to
dirt
have
before we
that
even
cleared,
approved it.
I mean,
Yeah, we had it cleared, and then, for them to move it by the pickleball courts would be, I think it'd be better suited there personally, but that would've been a board discussion. I hate negativity coming on this project, because it's an amazing project, but we have to do things thoroughly, and we have to do it through board approval.
Well, I believe the feeling was, it does look farther, but the pickleball court and the playground there
I'm touching it,
is,
I can see that.
yeah, it's not as far as it looks there. And the pickleball court and the adult exercise equipment there is designed so that the children are not accessing the adult exercise
And
equipment.
those children would be on
It
it.
will be.
Oh, yeah.
It will be.
but is there irrigation out there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're putting it all in the
Was
back,
it-
right? We approved that,
Did
right?
they put did they,
This
They
is a
stopped right
huge
at the
field.
It
playground.
is, it is.
I can't imagine you're gonna do those things.
Installed, and they'd come back and finish it.
okay.
Yeah, we approved that, correct? That irrigation stuff out here?
For where? See, I don't have
So now
We
that
had a
was
drawing
changed
on
to-
that. We did,
Okay.
on the irrigation. That may have
it.
changed
For out
too.
here?
though. Well, that would've had to change if this design changed.
That's old.
There's probably gonna be some reworking of the sprinklers when the pavilion goes up.
Right, right. We knew that would happen, though. That had to happen when the pavilion went up.
And that should be happening soon, correct?
Correct. I've been talking with Kevin at KNR. So, he's waiting for Jeff to approve the plans.
So where do we stand on the pickleball courts?
On the, well, that's down here later
Oh.
on the
Is it on
agenda.
the agenda? All
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
So this is the plan. Or are we gonna discuss it further once the committee makes a formal recommendation?
What the committee now has to approve if you choose to,
The committee or the board?
the board,
Okay.
this board, has
But
to
your,
approve.
this is your,
This is,
recommendation
this
from the
is the,
committee.
it's still, they're still considering this draft, the final draft. We approve this draft, and Prine and Newhoff will go, the price on that, I've lost what the price was now. 7,000, not to exceed 7,500.
Who was on the, committee that was discussing this before? Heather was, and you,
Yeah.
right? And who
Mhm.
else?
Bill Jeffrey sat on it, Ron, Cindy Briggs,
Have they-
Andy.
Have they looked at this and given
They have
their-
not seen this one yet,
I would recommend they look at it, then bring their,
okay?
that, I mean,
Yeah, you
it should
should
bounce
see
through the
it.
committee, and then the committee should bring it to us, because I trust the committees to do all the groundwork and homework. I only studied it, you know. I would prefer that if I was on the committee.
yeah, I think they should formally all look at it and make a
All
recommendation.
right, then we will remove this and take this to a meeting of the Parks and Rec.
I'd feel really good about that.
Do we
Okay.
have to make a motion to table?
Oh,
I make a
Yeah.
motion to table.
One second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Table and take to Parks and Rec. Okay, now the that will fall, the pickleball court will fall under the same. Although I'd like to give you an update on
Sure,
what,
absolutely.
an update on what we've discovered. In your memo, which I don't think I have the memo. The cost of the pickleball courts was, they're both, I checked both, VersaCourt and FlexCourt. And the cost was essentially the same for both of them. So they run, although it doesn't look like it, they're, both around 28,000 for the court, 28, 29 for
This
the
is the
actual,
topping on the cement?
the tiles, the tiles themselves. And, so, and they look great. You know, it's a beautiful court. That said and done, one of the individuals, and I believe it was from VersaCourt, made the comment to me. I mean, and they are really, really pleasant people to work with, and I want to make that abundantly clear. Said this is for leisure activity only, which made me think, okay, this is not, as much as we've been going back and forth about, are these regulation size courts, are these, you know, just leisure activity courts? We've talked about that back and forth. And he said it's the way the ball bounces on these tiles that makes it a leisure activity court. And I thought, okay. So Ron and I went today to Bluffton, Beechwood, thank you, and to look at their courts there. Now, they are also not regulation size. And we talked to two really nice gentlemen. And their courts are cement courts, and they're not painted, they're just taped with strips. And these courts are also not regulation because whoever painted the strips didn't make them regulation size. So, and the gentleman there complained about the fact that they said, well, I point blank asked them, are you gentlemen, do you play tournaments or are you out here just for fun? And he said, they said, we're just out here for activity, right, you know, we don't do tournaments, we're out here almost every day, but we, you know, this is not what we do it for sport. We're not out, and we don't do tournaments. But they did complain about the fact that the lines were wobbly and they weren't regulation size. And he said, believe me, people complain about the fact that the lines aren't regulation size. So that's an issue. Now, I also looked at a video on painting the courts, and it's not an easy task. So Brian Fowler did tell me he knows people who do this professionally, and the courts are beautiful if you paint them.
Mhm.
Absolutely gorgeous. So that's another option that we might want to consider.
Probably a cheaper option too.
It's a cheaper, I believe it's a cheaper option.
We
So,
like cheap.
huh?
We like cheap.
Yeah.
More
So,
economical,
no,
not cheap.
in my, and you know, the other option that we need to, I don't think we need to consider, but, this pickleball makes noise, but we're out so far, it doesn't, it's irrelevant.
And
Because
you got
there's,
all them trees out
Yeah.
there and
You'd be
stuff, so.
surprised.
That were taken down.
what?
Noise carries.
The noise carries, but it's still out far enough, I don't think, I mean, if we're gonna do it, we're in a good place to do it.
Yeah.
So, I think, with that said, I think we should consider this sharing information and not voting on any information. We
Well,
should just carry this to the.
What's the size of the,
It-
court?
It's, the dimensions are.
For the cement?
yeah. The last one was.
We had that last
under-
time.
Yeah.
It was under
It's,
size.
it's,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The one that Brian bid on?
Yeah,
no, it was too
Reckon-
small,
Really?
too small,
Mhm.
yeah.
it was too
It's
small.
going to find a new one.
Because the courts are 20 by 44.
Yeah, but the playing area, they
big
recommend 36 by
Yes, they
64,
do. They do.
so.
It's 88 by something, and I didn't bring it in here because we weren't voting on the cement.
Well, as long as they looked into that and incorporated the wider
Yeah,
playing area.
yeah, so the bids for, I wasn't planning on voting on this evening, but it was
On what?
on the pickleball court.
On the cement? We awarded that already.
We approved the cement.
Yeah.
We had to, well, we had,
The last meeting.
we had to say, I had to tell Brian that wasn't big enough. I did
Well,
tell
He can
him.
redo his quote, but I.
He's gonna redo his quote, yeah,
But he still has
yeah,
a bid.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna redo his quote based on size,
Okay.
so it's just not big enough,
Right,
so.
agree.
But in terms of tiles,
Mhm.
They're out, right?
I think at this point, are we taking this to the,
I have a comment on that.
yeah,
Does the township envision running professional pickleball stuff
Yeah,
here?
we're
I think they're talking
professional.
about tournaments
We
and
are
stuff.
We're gonna be the team.
We could still have a tournament even if it wasn't sanctioned by that group to do, you know, your local come out and play a beanbag
Yeah,
tournament,
tournaments and
pickleball
stuff
thing.
like that.
But if you wanna be sanctioned, then we, you know, cause I went to Google as you recommended, spent my lunch hour, there's a pile of information out
Yeah,
there.
we can do that.
How they seal it with the acrylic and everything and
Right.
such, No, we ain't doing that.
your back is not gonna do it. Ron Arts is too old.
I think if we try to make them the best we can
Dang,
and have
Ron,
it
you gonna
professionally
take
done
that?
within the
This case,
requirements of what the sport's supposed to be.
He doesn't
So
wanna paint.
I got
You
a
don't want
question.
paint.
Is Brian quoting just on cement or on the whole court painted?
No, and Brian
Nets
wasn't
and everything?
quoting, not, as far as I know, on painting. He was going to give me names of people who
Oh,
painted.
Good,
All right.
good.
Yeah, he was not quoting on the painting, just, I did tell him we needed a larger court now.
Did you give him a piece of paper with dimensions on it?
No, not yet.
It's like an acrylic stuff that they spread down with a,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
floors.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And it was
Looks
not, it was not easy. In watching that, it
No.
was not anything I wanted to do.
no, we don't have the skills to do that.
So, so with that said,
Well, me and you could.
do you wanna do it, Dave?
Sure, I got a team, we can do that.
So with that, I guess with that
Okay.
said, and with Bob talking about it, I think we're all in agreement, the tiles are not an option.
Okay.
Agreed.
They're beautiful.
And they wear out fast, that's what they stated.
And you're gonna have
They have
guys
more
going
maintenance.
out there with their dirt bikes and
They have more
doing
maintenance.
burnouts on it.
The one thing they did tell me, the one company over the other, one company that did the tiles wanted us to do the nets as
Removable?
a removable nets. So every time it rained, we were gonna take them up, and I thought, right, we're gonna run out there and take them up.
Ron, you got kind of
Yeah.
a scowl on your face.
Yeah, and the other company wanted us to cement them in.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
Another project.
in talking to the company, to the gentleman today, cementing those nets in is not as easy as it looks either. That was a difficult process. So, that's something that we need to consider. But the nets do come in the winter. They're removable, so. So, okay, so pickleball court, the cement is in, and we just need to increase the size, and we move forward with that.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is the parking lot. Our parking lot fell apart, sort of, because of the way the bid was presented to us. And unfortunately, it wasn't an option, the way it was presented. So we need to go back to the drawing board. I have from the road commission, the new drawing, to scale of the parking lot access and everything. I will send that out to, we have some new people to send it to, and if anyone has any other concerns about that.
We put our contractor, we had him bid something without putting down the scope of work. We awarded that to him. We need to really do our due diligence moving forward to ensure that when we're getting these people to even bid, that is exactly what we need.
On a piece of paper, give
Yeah,
each
so
person
that's
some
what,
paper.
we'll have that special meeting and go over that, which I'm actually excited to do, because it's gonna improve things. How far off is this individual that won the bid, how far off is his scope of work from what we really want him to do? Is it a couple thousand, is it
It
30,000?
wasn't the dollars, it was
It was,
removal of the trees.
Oh, okay, all right.
yeah.
Did
There were
he-
some other issues too with it.
What's that?
All right.
Understanding the whole process
Yeah.
of what can be done,
Okay,
and how things can be done.
Like what?
Like,
On removing trees?
yeah, removing the trees, like what's possible.
Mhm.
That's the word, I'm trying to figure out the right terms to say here. What is even possible before you present a bid? And that
Sure.
wasn't presented to us the right way.
all right.
So that's,
On his part?
yes,
What about on our part? We didn't request a bid in the right way.
you're right,
Right, we didn't.
you're right, Dave.
Is there any way that we could have him proceed with what he believes was his scope of work and then get bids for the remaining work, so we can keep moving forward while we have meetings? That would,
He was gonna look into, see if he could find someone to remove the trees.
He hasn't presented anything
right,
to
and
us yet.
unfortunately, we had an individual said we could do something with the trees, which was inaccurate information.
Right,
So we need to start taking that into consideration when we're sitting up here.
right. So,
And it's just unfortunate.
yeah, it just went down wrong. So, we as a board need to be better prepared. But we also need to receive things in a better way as well.
So
So-
what do we do now? Is it
I
going
think
back
we're-
out for bids on everybody, or?
I think we need to probably resend it into three different bidders. I think that would be the appropriate way,
And we're removing the trees right in this parking lot.
right, for that parking lot.
Right.
So, And
The first section,
the
correct?
the first
Both-
section.
Both
And-
sections, right?
Well,
Both sections.
Yeah. I
Well-
think we wanna
What I was under the
remove the
impression.
trees over there.
well, there,
Yeah.
Ron,
Expansion.
there's only one, Ron is saying there's only one, or I thought there was one tree that needed to be removed.
Do we need to have,
There's a whole bunch of them.
do we need
I
to
know,
have,
in the first section, Dave. In
That big
little-
one
No,
she's
there's
talking
lots
about,
of
Ron,
trees.
but that's
There's lots
kinda
of
out of the
trees.
way, isn't it?
so do we need
She's
to,
talking about the.
I'm
whole
talking about
parking
the
lot.
little one.
Oh, I'm talking about
Oh,
the big
right
No,
one.
I
here.
know, you were,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the little
Alright,
one, I
I'm
know the
confused.
big
I
one.
was confused.
No,
so we need to
Okay.
get this exactly what we want, do we need some type of an assessor or somebody to come into, this needs to be, a scope of work needs to be put down prior to
We
sending
can
out
draw
bids,
it out.
exactly
We
what
can
we
find it.
want.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
We want it graded afterwards.
Yes.
We want
yes, okay,
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
a connector with the road.
Mhm.
yeah. So I've got all this for the road, and we have the plan, and, we don't, if we can't get the gravel, that's not the end of the world right now.
Mhm, correct.
That can
Get it
happen in the
cleared first.
spring.
When you can't get it.
If it's not possible, we're running into, to a time frame here right now,
On
Weather,
weather.
what, for gravel?
Yeah, we're, by the time
Contractors
they
being
clear,
full.
yeah, by the time they clear the trees off, it may be too late to get gravel for contractors to come in and do gravel right now. We're looking at clearing the trees. So all the contractors who are doing gravel and road work and things like that, they may be booked at this point. So we may not be able to get gravel in on that parking lot
but we
at
may
this
be able
point.
to.
We
No,
may.
If we
It's
get it done.
possible.
If we get-
It's possible.
I indicate you could get some of that crushed asphalt, which would work just as good and a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So,
We might be able to get some of that from the road commission,
well, that's, I think what,
cause they
Yeah,
got
no,
quite a
yeah.
bit.
I
We
know a
have
guy that worked for
Brian
the road
work on
commission.
that maybe.
So,
Huh?
I knew a guy that worked at the road commission, retired.
Yeah, he wasn't worth the crap, was he?
okay, you can't say that on camera. Now, come on, stop. All
We
right,
gotta be able to have a little.
all right,
sense of
gentlemen,
humor.
stop. All right. All right, I'm moving on to new business. Dave, security camera
security
for
camera
the
for
back door.
With all new drop boxes that the state is putting in the townships, they're requiring cameras right above the box. They aren't requiring it for the ones that are in existence, but that's coming. So I'm trying to get ready for next year, put a camera up above this door back here. It costs us $366, so. I'd like to make a motion to install that camera.
And I'll second it.
I have a question. Is that Dropbox going to be sufficient in this box, in this location? Is that gonna meet their,
Yes,
okay,
yes. Yeah, there's nothing that disqualifies this right
Okay.
now, so.
And I have a question. Is the camera aimed right on the drop box?
It's aimed at people walking up to the drop box.
he's saying they're gonna require a camera that you can see
It
the
captures the
person's
people
face.
walking up.
Face,
Yeah.
walking
The
on
one that
there.
we have, you can see the person,
Yeah,
but
the side
it's
of 'em.
from the side,
Okay,
so.
okay.
And that's gonna add to our, security system we have now, you told me.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, there's 8 spots on that, and you need 4 or 5 of them,
Five.
Okay,
so.
all right.
Take a vote, all in favor, or roll call vote?
Better do roll call.
Bob,
Yes,
Heather,
Yes.
Make a motion.
Linda.
we had motion and
We had
support
motion.
already.
It's been seconded, yeah.
Yeah,
Brian and Dave did
Dave,
that.
yes, Brian,
Yes.
all right.
you forgot me.
No, I called you.
No,
Oh, Linda,
yes.
I thought I came right down the line.
No. All right, okay, seek bids for new porch steps for 2 back doors. You have in your packet the drawing for the steps, and I was hoping Jeff would call. I had the porch steps, but
They were in here.
I had them in my hand, so. Maybe, well, oh, here they are. When Jeff, the drawing is from Jeff Ream. He drew these up for me. And, when Ron tore down the handicap ramp, and the township only needs one handicap access, which we have out the front door, and that is cement. The access here to the back door, which wound around this back side of the building, all the way around there, was made of some kind of wood, and it was literally rotted out. So, Ron took it down, and we're having the parking lot repaved, and what we discovered is that was so rotten that it all had to come out, and then the porch steps had to come out, and he discovered that the back steps are not in great condition. So, I'm asking for a motion to, replace these steps as soon as possible, quite frankly. And I'm gonna have to get bids on this, although this should not be much. And I'll get we get the permit, the necessary permit from the township from Lorraine. I've already spoken to Lorraine about that.
So you're asking for a motion to seek bids?
Actually, to go ahead
I was
and do
gonna say,
this.
you don't
I
really
don't-
wanna
this
wait
is-
a month.
No, no.
Do we have an idea of an approximate cost that we could approve up to a certain amount?
That's why I was hoping Jeff would call me.
Okay.
I don't believe this is gonna cost more than
It's gonna scare you.
25, how about 2,500?
Are these fire exits? What
One
exactly are
is
they?
the basement exit, and yes, this is,
Yeah.
one is right here, the
Okay.
basement, it's the only exit out of the basement.
Correct.
And this is the only exit out of the back of the,
And our new parking lot's gonna come right up to the edge of the building?
right.
So we'd wanna put these in afterwards or put temporary steps in, like some that you could put on a trailer?
Aren't they supposed to do the parking lot soon?
Yeah.
So there are some metal trailers that you utilize for temporary stuff that are $300, $400, $500, $800 that you could secure to the building if it meets code
I thought they were repaving like
soon.
soon,
Yeah.
like this week.
Yeah,
I
we
just-
gotta get them bumpers out, and we got some telephone poles over here. They gotta be moved. I think,
When you tell me they're coming, we'll move them.
I'm just curious if we could do something
he's supposed to let
temporary.
us know 2
Well,
days in
I
advance,
looked at
but
them, yeah, and
you start
they're-
seeing
Take
equipment
an hour
falling
and a
out
half.
there.
Shoot, they're not rotten, they're solid.
This
Some
one.
guys
here,
are pretty
And
crazy.
Based on, we might do something with the building,
Yeah.
I'd wait till next spring to replace them.
That's what I was,
In the
you know, we're
event-
looking at our building.
Because we're gonna know
This
next
one
couple
was,
months.
this one was bad.
Really bad.
The, out
This one
the,
out here is not bad.
this one was
Which
rotten.
one's this
the
one?
basement, yeah,
This-
the basement,
The base one.
Oh, not this one
Yeah.
here.
yeah. This one is shaky.
I've never seen the
Well,
basement.
it's solid, but
Yeah.
it's aged, but it's not immediate.
So you're saying
It's
2,500?
gotta be rejigged. It's,
Not this one, this one's.
Yes, it
this-
does.
No, it doesn't. Linda, it's solid. It's not rotten, it's solid. It's weathered, but it's solid. And if we're gonna do something with the building next, you know, I don't know whenever, but we'll know within the next couple of months. If we are gonna do something,
there's some steps
up.
there's some steps there that need,
Fixing.
you wanna go look right now?
yeah, I did,
I did too, and it's solid.
okay.
So on that, could we look at some temporary stuff?
For the basement steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's those metal ones that go in and out, but you'd have to make sure they meet requirements. I know they put them on job sites and they put them on trailers. And they're less than $1,000, and you could put them in like that.
Okay.
I'm-
I'm-
If the
I-
board wants to put wood ones in, I'm not opposed to
I'm
that
not,
either.
I'm not opposed to putting a metal one in
Yeah.
that it's temporary, although what would we do with it afterward?
Good question. What are we gonna do with the wood when we build it? We would tear the building down.
If we do that, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But
So I'm just trying to save some money since everything's in a state of change. If it's relatively cheap and we can get it in quick after the asphalt goes in for the new parking lot, we don't want it before.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
So I thought if we had something temporary, but one could be temporary possibly too. Whatever the board favors.
This is not my forte.
I'd just soon approve the 2,500 and get it all done.
All right? Make a
Get it
motion.
done, you know, somebody could have an accident, but we
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
So, that's just where I am. Where are you, Heather?
Did Jeff look at, did Jeff look
I don't
at
know.
everything? Or is there like, are there requirements? Would the metal
Yeah, he-
meet those requirements?
I don't know.
Because it's
Metal
a commercial
is-
building?
Metal
I
is
don't know.
slippery,
Well,
but
and
it's
if
out the
it was only
basement.
on the basement one, no one ever uses that. That's basically just if there were an emergency.
That's an emergency
Nobody uses
exit,
that door.
yeah.
It'd be nice if we had a better idea of how much it would cost, you know, make it easier to
I
understand.
treated lumber's expensive. Well, you know.
I know,
You,
I don't wanna talk
you,
about it.
you
Yeah.
put $1 million deck on there.
Okay,
I'll go with whatever the way. I just thought about it today, and since I got the package from you, and I thought if we could do temporary, it would be maybe cost savings. But then I went requirements. Do they meet the requirements? So
Right.
our inspector would have to tell us. And
Yeah.
well,
if he-
Jeff is here, okay.
Table.
All right, here's what we're setting up soon, a schedule, a work session.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wait for API is doing the
Parking lot.
parking lot. Let's just put this on
Hold.
Put it on
Un-
hold until the work session?
until the
and-
work session, and I'll get a better cost from Jeff tomorrow.
Okay, get a cost from Jeff and find out if a temporary
Yeah.
stairway is acceptable.
Jeff would be able to tell me that.
Mhm, yeah.
Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
I am
As long
All
as
right.
people can get to the Dropbox
Yep.
for now, cause,
with our new camera.
yeah.
All right, I need a vote to table this.
I'll motion to table
I'll support.
All in favor?
it.
Aye. To work session. It's not very often we do work sessions like this, so. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the pavilion. It's both a pavilion and to hold a Halloween party. I did talk to Kevin from K&R about the status of the pavilion, and the plans are in Jeff's hands. Unfortunately, it took a little while for him to get the plans, so it is, he's reviewing them, and then he has to determine if there's anything else that he needs on the plans for the pavilion, that slowed him down somewhat. And then he will, once the plans are finally approved, then we can move forward on the pavilion, and we've all been waiting for this. This is a big thing in this township, so, so with that said, we're looking, Kevin is just waiting, he's waiting to hear from Jeff to see if it's a go, and, once it's a go, then he's ready to get started. And the same, he's waiting for the plans also for the pole barn. That's taking a little bit longer to get the construction seal of approval for that. And once, the same thing, Jeff will go through and look at those plans. And, I just signed off on the electrical,
For the pole barn and,
for the pole barn. We don't have to do it for the pavilion because we already have the electrical, the
there.
hookup there.
Good.
We didn't here, so
No.
I've been working with Josh Giddings on the electrical hookup and consumers. So it's actually been wonderful to get that set up. Consumers has been great, Josh has been great. I filled out my part, Josh filled out his part, and I just need to send it tonight to consumers, so.
Did Josh have to get that stamp also?
I don't know that, that's what we're waiting to find out.
Oh,
So I don't know if that's part of the,
I didn't know them stamps cost that much.
They cost a lot.
$7 grand.
well,
That was a cost we didn't expect.
excuse me. So, yeah, that's part of the issue, and, we're just waiting, it's another step that we had to take. So once everything's approved, then we can begin. But, so with that said, and I'm swinging my hands here because we want to move on this. So the pavilion is scheduled to go out there, hopefully very soon. I talked to Kevin, I told him our goal is to get that set up so we can hold a Halloween party. He knows that's what we would like to do, we being me.
Hopefully it's up by the end of September.
I said, October 31st is
Yeah.
Halloween. I would like to have some kind of Halloween party as a celebration of the heart. This has been long. We talked about this pavilion from the Parks and Rec Committee from day one. I mean, that was it was the playground
17.
equipment. It was the playground equipment, the pavilion, those were the two things that we wanted to have in this community park. So, I guess what I need from all of you, if you think that's something you would like to do, is a motion to approve some kind of Halloween party. Like, maybe we get dressed up or something and distribute candy,
To the kids, yeah.
to the kids, yeah, have cider out here. We could do cider and donuts and.
Adult cider.
Bob.
Oh, I forgot we're on camera.
You've forgotten we're on camera a couple times tonight, so.
I'll be happy to make a motion to have a Halloween party if the pavilion's
I'll
ready.
support that.
And, we just have to determine when that would be,
Sure.
what day we're gonna have that.
Should have a subcommittee to determine all
Yeah,
that.
what that would be, what a good date for that is, and,
There's one date you can't have it on, we'll talk about afterwards, cause I have one also.
okay.
And you'll be getting your, invitation soon, so.
Okay, so we have what, a motion and a
Motion second.
support?
All in favor? All in favor?
Well, we're spending money, we gotta have a,
Oh, up to how much?
I don't know.
It's a community
Community
Perfect.
promotion,
All right,
so,
aye,
Perfect.
if that's
Aye.
what you
Do
want
you
to
need
do.
a, do you need a dollar?
I didn't know if you needed a yes or,
no,
Good.
It's not gonna be much,
Wonderful.
so,
Good.
yes.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yes. I've already said-
Oh, yay!
Second time around.
Yeah. It's exciting things. Let's celebrate those.
Yeah, it would be really exciting, and I have seen the plans, and the pavilion is beautiful. We just have to decide on a color. So,
Of the roof?
yeah, of the metal, it's a metal roof, so we have to decide on a color for the roof, so. I think that's Parks and Rec, yeah. So,
I thought,
I
I
don't
thought
think,
you already
no,
did
we
the
didn't-
color.
We didn't pick out a color.
We
okay.
did
thought it
the
was
day I
like-
was there.
Yeah, we sat around the table. Ron was there. You were there.
I remember that, yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, he's got the color.
Does he? He didn't know the color.
He wrote it down.
Oh.
I was sitting
I
next
don't
to him.
You're
remember.
gonna have a meeting
You were
soon?
there.
to
Oh,
determine
yeah,
what
I do
Dark
too.
green.
You
I
were
do
there.
too remember.
Dark green.
I remember, yeah.
Is
I
that
do.
what it was?
I
Dark green?
remember the pole barn, but not the pavilion.
I think because
Yeah,
the pole
gray and a
barn.
dark
Yeah.
green or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember
Well,
now. Okay, now the last item on
It
the
doesn't leave.
agenda is to bring in additional help at the front desk from 1:30 to 4:30. And I gave you just the job description for the whole day. It was not intended to be for the, well, it is a job description for what
We
the
gotta make a
individual
motion and
would be.
support to discuss it, right?
Yeah, but I'm just telling you what that,
Okay.
what it is.
All right.
That is the job description for what that individual would be doing during that time. So if I could have a motion to discuss
I'll make a
this.
motion.
Do I have a second to discuss this?
I'll support to discuss.
Okay.
Sorry. Can't talk.
Okay, I got a question.
Sure.
We got that fancy answering machine out there that when you call, you get most of right there, you know, and it'll put it through to Dave or you or Heather, and I just don't know why we would need it.
Okay.
That's just me, but, you know, but I talked to you one time and I had my hearing aids on a couple days, well, last week when I called. And I could hear Cheryl good, but I wish Cheryl would speak up more, cause if I didn't have them on, I can't hardly understand her. I think I talked to you
Yeah.
about it and see if, nothing bad about you, but I wish you'd talk louder into that message. Yeah.
Oh, when
because-
you first call?
When you
you're
first
hearing the
call, cause you're
options? Oh,
very soft.
Okay.
And I had to turn my hearing aids up and, you know,
Thank you.
you're welcome. But I talked to Linda, I don't know, a couple months
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
when we first think we got it or whatever.
It's not about that, Bob. It's about the people that come in between 1:30 and 4:30 when Cheryl leaves. And most of the people are coming in for building issues, for building permits.
Well, in the time I've been here, I haven't seen any issues where people have been getting taken care of. And
We all
take care
get
of people
up.
come in
Yeah.
and pass on phone numbers or whatever, and I don't see it really being an issue. I really don't see a need to bring another person online for those hours during the week.
Okay, all right,
I discussed earlier with you, I've got multiple questions.
yeah.
I understand Cheryl does a great job.
This is, has
No, it's not
nothing
against
to
her.
do with
So
Cheryl.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna continue saying, I'm
Yeah.
sure the individual, if we move forward, would do just as good job being trained by her. Being at capacity, as much work as everybody's doing and all the things that are popping, understand we're very, very, very busy. My recommendation would be to, if Cheryl isn't here on a holiday or sick or something, that we somehow schedule an individual that is responsible for answering the doors and having forums and doing whatever training necessary for them to provide documentations of them. If it's the majority of the billing people, I mean, scheduling, we can start, you know, trying to schedule a little bit more often than what we do. I don't know if it's necessary, because for me to approve this, I have a long list of questions on, especially responsibilities. Me and you talked back a little bit. If the people in the building that are here on a daily basis could just step up the slack a little bit, and if you guys as managers, as you have assistants, feel that that would be acceptable, then I would take that answer. If you say that you can't do that, then we're gonna need some in-depth discussions for me to be on board with it.
Okay,
When someone walks in that door, they get attention.
Yep.
Someone who sees them jumps on it.
Yeah,
It's not like we put our heads down and wait for somebody.
I hear
no,
nothing but
no,
good things. I hear
no,
nothing.
We
that's
take
not,
care of
it.
that is not the question at all.
Linda's just saying
Yeah.
that sometimes there's been a small void where everybody's busy and such,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it is literally not the issue of people not being served. It's people not being served with the issue of building permits. And in particular, building permits,
sure.
building issues. And none of us that's not our area of expertise. It's just not. And Lorraine was here today, and you know, so she happened to be able to handle somebody who came in. And could this person have waited? The answer is yes, they could have. But for
That's nice.
in my, if I were a contractor and I drove across town or from another area of, or another county even, to come here and get a permit, I would be a little miffed if no one was at that front desk.
Wouldn't you
I-
think they'd
I'd
make
call
the phone
first.
call though?
Yeah,
They
they call
don't.
first.
They don't though.
That's what,
They don't. It says we're here from 8:30 to 4:30.
So
Well,
are they able to pick up the paperwork they need to process to get an appointment afterwards? I mean, is that
Sure,
just a
but
little
if
bit
you
of
were
training?
coming, if you're coming in, but then they have to pay for it. They have to pay for
When they
that
get
permit.
there?
And they have to ask questions about how much is this permit.
Right.
It's not just a one step,
Sure.
you know, there are a couple steps, so why should they have to come back? That's where I'm getting at.
well, maybe with a little bit of training from Cheryl, we could help do that stuff. We don't have to stay in our own little silos.
That's where my comment was, if the supervisors, you have an assistant, and you're here, and the other workers feel that with some additional training, we could cover it, I would accept that. I'm not opposed to bringing somebody else in, but again, I have a lot of questions on it. And if I'm a contractor, which I was for years, I called in advance and I didn't always expect. I hear nothing but great out in our community of how people respond when you come through that door. I mean, that goes a long way.
yeah. Same thing.
But if you're telling me there's a little bit of a void, then we need to adjust that void, so.
Yeah.
Would, reducing the hours for the building department, saying building department closes at 2:30 on Mondays and Tuesdays, and it's open till 4:30 on Wednesdays, would that be?
That's an option.
That's a great idea.
I believe a
That is
lot
an
of
option.
contractors come earlier in the day, that's the busy time.
No, that's a really good
And it's
idea.
only, you know, it's less often that you have someone coming in the afternoon. And if they knew about it ahead of time and, you know, they were used to that schedule, it may not be a problem. And on the off, you know, the folks that don't realize it and stop in, you know, we can give them a permit to fill
That
out,
is-
you know, we
that is a
can't
good-
process it, but
A great idea.
That is a good option.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a perfect option, but I think I mean, we're accommodating a work schedule.
I
Somebody's,
don't believe the building
somebody's work schedule.
department was open 3 days a week when I started. It was,
I think one.
I think it was.
I'm
I
quite
think it
sure
was
it's one.
day.
I know a lot of townships, have a
Right, and we
a
wanna
work
be
schedule.
accommodating, and
Yes.
we do have permits online, which is helpful. A
yeah,
lot
we
of
got,
folks email.
website's got all that information as well.
I don't know, it's, okay,
Talking about 6 hours.
I know,
We're talking about more than just
okay,
6
but
hours.
it's not, you know. All right, it doesn't sound like there's support for this. So,
You wanna vote, or you wanna withdraw, or?
I think, well, it doesn't sound like there's support at this point. So I think we will withdraw this.
Do you withdraw it, or do you vote and it
Adjust the
fails?
hours. Again, I am not opposed to it, but there's gonna be many more, I have a multitude of questions, and if we can support it with our adjusting our schedule, or with the people that are here during the building, and we want to accommodate, and I'm telling you, we do a great job. I'm out there in that community. If you're saying there's a void, then we need to address that void, and if the void is adjusting our hours down so the contractor knows, hey, on Wednesdays at whatever time they close at this specific time, they will adjust their thing, and now we got our online website, like you just said, so they can fill the forms out. So if you really think it's needed, we can have more discussion.
I will say this, I think that there is a void, a definite void. Are we going to learn the building permits and enter building permits? I can enter some of the building permits. Can I go in and figure out, right now, without the plumbing permits
Yeah, no,
and?
I wouldn't expect you to. It's not your job.
Well,
This is to
that's
fill a
exactly.
void.
Yeah, but that's exactly what's going on, what's wrong.
When are the building people here?
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. But so, and quite frankly, do I want to learn that? No.
I agree with you.
So, there's a lot to it. I've gone in and Lorraine has taught me how to enter some permits and figure out some things. I know sometimes Joel will come in and he'll say, can you look up this for me? And I can. There's some of that kind of stuff, but, do I have the knowledge to do all of that, to do it and stop what I'm doing on other things?
That's another thing.
I'm often not here, I'm at
So
a
then
board
we need
meeting.
to adjust our hours so we can accommodate the people, and the people have to have a little responsibility, understand there are specific times. If I go down to Muskegon County Courthouse, I can't show up at 5:15 at the clerk's office. They closed. So I adjusted my schedule to do that. So I mean, I'm not, we need to serve our community, which we do a great job now. If we need to adjust that, I'm not opposed to this, but we need to have many more discussions on this.
Should we get feedback from Jeff, Lorraine, and Cheryl about
Yeah, I think,
what would work for them and what they think is, they're the ones that are working with the contractors.
yeah,
We're gonna have a special meeting, we can call them in and discuss this more in advance at that time if you would like.
I think maybe that's a great idea. Let's talk with Jeff and Lorraine and Cheryl, and, I mean, Cheryl's not here on those hours, which is why we're doing this. When I asked Cheryl earlier about the other person that came in, she said, well, they can wait. That to me isn't the optimum answer to somebody, but I would rather serve the individual, in my mind, I'd rather serve them,
I
but
agree.
that's me.
I agree, but there are limitations to
Yeah.
serving. I can't come in on Saturday afternoon and give a contract or something because they worked all week. So,
Yeah.
we set our.
Yeah. So I'm looking at things, maybe I am too service oriented, that's a distinct possibility too. So, maybe it is, they can wait for something. So maybe there's a balance here that we need to look at. Maybe it is shortening the hours, maybe that is the balance. So.
Great statement.
Yeah, so, with that said, I think your suggestion, or whoever made the suggestion, Heather made it, let's talk to,
I can give you my input right now.
okay,
I like the idea of posting hours for the hours she was hired to work. And then contractors, if they come in at different hours, contractors typically will have their permit filled out and a check ready, they can leave it, she can do it the next day and email them their permit. What else was I gonna say? Sorry. So I like that idea. Shortening the hours on Mondays and Tuesdays because she's here till 4:30 on Wednesdays anyways. And I forgot.
would that shorten the amount of time that you're spending up at the desk on Monday and Tuesday?
Me?
Yeah,
I'm not.
I mean, when you're here, like on Tuesday,
Oh.
when you're up at the desk, when you shouldn't be up at the desk, well, you should be at that desk.
It doesn't happen that often. I'm here on Tuesday afternoons quite often, but.
Instead of being at that desk, you should be at that desk.
That reminds me of my other comment, I just remembered. My other comment is cross-training. The clerk's office has their busy times, so if it's a non-election time, Heather D could be cross-trained to at least answer questions.
I'm happily volunteering.
I'm
happily, very happily, yeah.
Heather and Cindy are always volunteering. If they could cross-train just to answer maybe questions people have when they come in, like residents, the contractors know what they need. I think cross-training is
It's a great idea.
too.
Okay, thank you.
And may I add something as well? Linda, I agree, customer service is tops, and it is helpful to get someone what they need when they're here for it. However, contractors are, they're a little different. They're not always in a great big hurry. They need the permit, yes, before they start the work, but they don't always intend to start it that very day or even that very week. It would be similar to someone walking in as to the permits that we receive through the mail. We might receive those on a Thursday or Friday, which in reality we don't receive until Monday because the post office doesn't deliver them here. So those contractors are waiting for their permits as well. I guess that would.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, that helps.
I was like, posting the hours is the best.
Yeah, posting the hours.
Okay.
And Jeff, you think we'll feel the same way, posting the hours?
I think I don't wanna speak for him, but I think he'd be fine with it. He's only here
On Wednesday,
a very short time on Wednesdays.
yeah.
The other thing I would mention is, I am often here later than 1:30 on Mondays and Tuesdays. If there's work to do, if there's permits that I need to get done, or billings or what have you, I'm glad to stay that time to get it done. So it's not like that has to be
A hard and fast rule.
correct.
Okay, all
If
right.
someone says they're coming in, I let them know, or I ask them, what time do you think you'll be here? And then I try to adjust accordingly.
Okay, all right. I think that what it's come down to is that we're going to post the hours, your hours that you're here, and just make that, I think if we'll take a vote on that right now. And it seems like most people are comfortable with that, and then we will have less anticipation that you're going to be in the office until 4:30. And because there's been a couple instances lately where we've had people here not happy that there's no one there at that desk at that particular time, and they're not satisfied that it's us. So they expect somebody to, and that doesn't matter, but I'm just saying that, so if we post that this is when you will be here, then that's just the way it is. So, I'd like a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right, that the building department will be open from 8:30 until, if we say 1:30, then that's safe. If you're here a little longer, then that's frosting on those hours.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I think we discussed that enough, so.
We did.
Discussion.
We beat that
Yeah.
horse up.
Thank you for that. That was a good discussion. I appreciate that. All right, board comments.
Thank you all for coming. You don't know how important it is for us to see you come to all the meetings. I remember coming years ago and there'd be one or two and it'd be me and Jerry Bean or something like that. Meeting be over in 10 minutes, but here we are, over in 35 minutes, and glad you guys came. Hope you think we're doing a good job, because we are gonna disagree on things, but that's all I have. Your turn.
Nothing. I'm good, thank you.
What about taxes?
Yep, taxes. Summer taxes are due September 14th. Don't forget.
Are you gonna be here on the 14th?
I will,
Oh, no.
I will, yes.
Oh, no.
I have two
Oh,
things.
that's on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be here.
Have lots of fun.
Yeah.
And Cindy.
Does a lot of people come that day?
It'll be really crazy tomorrow because most people are used to our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But there will be some people who will come in Thursday because the bill says the 14th. So
And it was pretty busy today
it was
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
And I bothered her a lot today too.
Yeah. Don't ask me any questions today. Yeah.
So, for the board members, you all got information on MTA in your packets on the 25th. So I hope that you will be able to join us. I do need to hear from you if you're going to attend because I will order food. So the if you are at home and you have lithium batteries, I still am collecting those. So those are the kinds of batteries like you put in tools, and I know Ron just had something in.
Hearing aids?
Yeah, hearing aid batteries, and but those are the kinds that you can't recycle. And so I have something called the Big Green Box. So please bring those into me and I will recycle them for you.
Alrighty.
So that's all I have.
Nothing for me.
Okay.
I follow what Bobby said. Thank you for everybody coming down here. It's our community. It's just growing fast. That's where you see some of these discussions up here. That's where I mentioned let's maybe just slow down a little bit. You guys have been talking about this since 2017. You go out there and it's like, wow, look at what's going on here. There's a
Finally.
good buzz in the community, right? So, you know, we're gonna have a few trips. But this committee works extremely hard and the people in this township work extremely hard in this building. And I wanted to tell Cheryl, I've heard nothing but good things about you. And everybody that comes in this building tells me how fast we respond, how good we respond. I've got like 4 or 5 people in my local where I work at go, I didn't know you were on the township board till I seen the Facebook post or the flyer came out, right? They were like, man, every time I go in there, you know, I hear nothing but positive. So everybody should pat themselves on the back. And this committee is working together good. We're gonna have disagreements, we're gonna have misunderstandings, but in the end, we're gonna always have good results. So
Can I
thank you.
change my mind? That's something to say.
It's too late. Only if it's positive. If it's-
Well, I just wanna say, I think we should make the parking lot, the big parking lot priority.
It is a
Because
priority.
I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
mothers pushing strollers all the way from parking on the street and parking walking all the way back to playground. So,
yeah, no,
we
it
need to
is,
get the playground.
it is
done.
a priority.
Yeah.
I'll start that tomorrow, so. And you're right, I can't tell you how many, one last comment. We have so many, which they're calling pandemic babies, I don't know why, but there are a lot of babies in this township. A lot of
You
babies.
You gotta remember COVID. We
Yeah.
had COVID and the shutdown. They had to have something to do.
Can you edit that out?
What?
But there are.
That ain't bad.
There are so many babies in this township and they love that swing set out there. We did I'm so proud of us for doing that swing set, the tandem swing set. And I see so many moms and babies out there heading that way. So you're absolutely right about making that parking lot. It just drives me crazy to see people walk that way. I'm happy about the exercise they're getting, but sad about the fact that it's a lousy walk. So, but the playground is beautiful and those swings are great.
Grass is
So.
looking good.
Mhm. So,
Best it's looked.
okay, public, anybody wanna make any comments? Nancy,
I do. Can I do it from here?
well,
No,
it's up
they do.
to Andy. I think Andy wants to.
She already knows my answer.
This has been great for the community to hear all that, how hard you people have been working, but I have a question about the pickleball court.
Okay,
Wouldn't it be, or is it in your mind, to create the professional size and have it sanctioned. I'm thinking that it's gonna cost the township money to put just a leisure activity size in. Why not go for the tournament size? And then we could have tournaments here, we could bring people into this community. And once the parking lot's done and everything, I think people in Muskegon would gladly come out here, and we could, I don't know how you do with tournaments, but I would think you charge a fee to use the court. I don't know that, but it's something for the township to think about, to reach out more, so more people would come in. And we won't have a noise problem out here. I mean, that's better than what Grand Rapids had to close their pickleball court. So that's just something to keep in your mind when you're going over that. And as far as the steps, that step out in the front, that, not the one for the handicap, that one is treacherous in the winter for Tom and I, we're older. That's a treacherous step. Is there something the contractor could do to make that more safe for us? Because it's terrible in the winter. The ice comes down, it's full of ice, and that's just my opinion, because we're
Like a handrail or something?
There is a
There's a
handrail,
handrail.
there's that one handrail, and believe me, I use it. But when you step down, it's
Ice.
very icy there for some reason, I don't know why. I mean, there's always salt there.
Yeah, there's
But
no
it's
salt, but
ice-
it doesn't matter, that drips right off the
Yeah.
handrail,
So
yeah.
if they're gonna look at doing something with steps, maybe that would be something to look at. Yeah.
Nancy, if I could answer your question, that the size that we're making the pickleball court is professional, grade size.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
No,
then.
yeah, the original one we discovered, Dave actually discovered it,
It's small.
it was too
Thank you,
small.
Dave.
And so I do wanna thank Dave for that, because when the first one was professional size, then we changed something and it was too small.
Okay.
And Dave discovered that the size wasn't right. So then we had them rework it, and this was the, people from one of the tile companies, why she didn't catch that the size was wrong is beyond me. So she reworked it and, came up with a size, and what we were looking at was 2 pickleball courts, a 4-square and a hopscotch. So,
Okay.
because we wanted something, we were literally tying in the adult pickleball, there's still children's stuff to do,
Okay.
and then the playground, it all ties in together,
Okay.
so.
Well, you guys it got very confusing for me.
Okay, okay, but it
For me
is
too.
regulation size.
Okay, hooray, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else? Bev, I would like to thank you for your comments earlier, so.
That's all right.
All right, then if there's no one else, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.